Learning how to pogo will improve your rocket control, strafing, and precision. The Easy Pogo course in Jump Academy 2 is an excellent place to start learning. If you haven't already done Easy Strafe and Easy Walls, I highly encourage you to tackle those first. You'll need to know how to strafe, and it'll be good to have some understanding of how rockets propel you when you're already midair. One thing to note before we start explaining jumps. A lot of people like to say that using the original is easier for learning pogo. But the truth is that difficulty-wise, the two are very similar, and whichever launcher you tend to prefer in general, it's best to use that for everything. When I first started jumping, I personally started using the original because I liked how it looked, but now it's important for me to continue using it because it changes how jumping works. If there's a significant difference between stock and original for some part of a jump, I'll be sure to explain what to do with both launchers. Let's get started then. All of the jumps in Easy Pogo are designed for you to walk off, hold crouch, and shoot the ground just before you get to it. If you shoot early, you'll pop up really high and won't be able to shoot a second rocket on the ground. If you shoot late, your rocket won't hit the ground in time, so you'll touch the ground and teleport back. You can get a tiny bit of speed by aiming either behind you with the original or to your right with stock. Once you've started pogoing, you can hold M1, that is, hold left click, to keep firing as fast as your launcher will allow. That should be enough to get you through Jump 1. Jump 2 has a bit longer of a pogo. Make sure that after your first rocket, you're facing forwards. This is important for two reasons. First off, you need to strafe. Remember not to be holding W. Second, when you get going fast, you're going to want to aim up a little bit so your rockets land further in front. This will be important later, but it's good to prepare for it now. Jump 3 features a couple of gaps. Walk off and shoot the ground to start your pogo. Then use your strafing to curve around on the ground. Make sure your path has you shooting a rocket on the ground that'll get you over the gap. Jump 4 doesn't have gaps, but it's pretty long. Remember to face forwards and strafe as you go so you can make the turns. Don't hold W. If you're aiming straight down, chances are you'll get going too fast and you'll go out of control and fail. To prevent that from happening, you need to look just a little ahead as you start gaining speed. When pogoing, adjusting your aim up and down goes a long way towards helping you stay in control. For those who've beat Jump 4, Jumps 5 through 7 tend not to pose too much of a challenge. Jump 5 is a couple of rockets going up a slope, and Jump 6 is a couple of rockets going down. You can take these pretty quickly and focus on your aim and strafing to keep yourself in position to get further up or down the slopes. Jump 7 has two long, thin platforms to pogo across. If you're facing forwards and strafing, these shouldn't pose too much difficulty. Stock users should remember that their rockets come out a little to the right, so they should center their cursors a little bit to the left when pogoing across these. If you want some extra challenge, try crossing from one of the platforms to the other during your pogo. Easy Pogo 8 is one of the places where the most people get stuck. It'll be a challenge to complete, but with some practice and perseverance, you can beat it too. The first part of your pogo will be familiar. Just get to the wall without dropping your pogo. Once you're at the wall, what you need to do to climb it differs between stock and original. For both launchers, hold M1 and crouch the entire time. Those using original need to hold W and aim low on the wall. While still holding W, tap A or D between rockets if you're drifting to the side. If instead you're using stock, keep W held, aim low but also to the left, and tap D quickly. Stock users don't need to adjust with A or D because they can move left or right by tapping D a little bit less or briefly holding it. For both types of launchers, remember that you don't want to hold W until you're ready to pogo on the wall. Once you are pogoing on the wall, try not to adjust your aim. Very slight changes in your aim during wall pogo result in drastic changes in where you go. Making slight adjustments to your aim is helpful once you're proficient at wall climbing, but without enough experience, it almost always results in disaster. Sometimes you'll get very lucky and have a really powerful pogo that sends you halfway up the wall. When this happens, you aren't actually pogoing, you encountered a random bounce. Bounces occur when you have a perfectly timed rocket hit you when you fall from specific, precise heights. These are not consistent or reproducible, so if you happen to complete this jump with a random bounce, you should highly consider going back and practicing how to do the jump without one. Easy Pogo 9 gives you a chance to focus on your ground pogos again. Use your aiming and strafing to control your speed and trajectory, to land on the platforms and keep enough speed to continue crossing to the next platforms as you approach them. If you start going fast, don't be afraid to skip a platform and aim up high. Easy Pogo 10 is a long pogo with some small drops. If you haven't learned to look up as you gain speed during pogo yet, now's the time to do so. The faster you're moving, the more you want to look up. This is because the rockets you shoot take some time to get to the ground. If you're moving fast, but you shoot straight down, by the time the rocket hits, you'll be so far in front that it doesn't hit you with very much power anymore. If you aim far enough in front that you start to lose speed, you'll need to aim lower again to get that speed back. Learning how to aim like this will be a very useful tool during pogo. You may have difficulty during this jump judging your speed or knowing where to go. Looking up between rockets is hard, but it's a very helpful skill to work on. It's also worth noting, when going fast and going down like this, you'll sometimes need to stop holding M1 and instead time your rockets. Jump 11 has platforms that are further apart. If you've been jumping off to start each pogo instead of walking off, this jump may prove quite difficult for you. Walk off, crouch, and place your rocket carefully. If you have good placement, you can fly across the platforms and time your rockets for when you need to pogo. Jump 12 is similar to 8, but with a catch. No, literally, a catching rocket to start the wall pogo. To make the transition to the wall easier, try to gain speed at the start of the jump. Then aim your last ground rocket, just before the wall, very far in front. You need to aim so far in front because you want the rocket to end up squarely underneath you. And because you're moving so fast, the spot on the ground you need to shoot is pretty far ahead. Once you're on the wall, the technique is the same as in Jump 8. Remember not to adjust your aim, and if you're having trouble, you can go back to 8 to practice. This is especially true if you beat 8 with a random bounce. Wall pogo teaches you a degree of control that makes it worth learning even if you just want to rocket jump in casual matches. Try to approach it with patience and confidence. There's a few alternate paths on 13, but I recommend people take the long way. Since it's unbroken, people tend to have less trouble figuring out how to space their rockets to get enough speed to cross the gaps. I recommend people take it slowly, tapping S to lose excess speed if they have it, especially at the corners. If you need to put down a rocket right at a corner, it'll be almost impossible to make the turn and recover if you're going too fast. If you've slowed down to a standstill, or if you start to move backwards, it's okay in this case to use W to start yourself going again. The WASD keys will get you going up to a very slow speed, and then they won't do anything at all besides either slow you down or allow you to strafe. So if you're stopped in place, they can be very useful to get yourself under control again. 14 is a ramp pogo, which, unlike Jump 5, starts with a flat pogo. When transitioning from ramp to flat or vice versa, try to go very slowly, perhaps even holding W like I mentioned earlier. Holding W during the slow ramp pogo is the easiest way to do it, just take it snail speed. But you can also strafe, not holding W, if you want to try going faster. Careful that you're not going too fast into or going out of the ramp pogo, because you'll either slam into or fly off of the ramp, ending your pogo. After the ramp, to transition back to a faster pogo that will let you cross the gaps at the end. Release W, shoot a rocket so it lands behind you, and then start pogoing normally. If you're using the original, you'll need to aim behind for that rocket to start you again, but stock users can just aim to the right. An alternate way of completing 14 is using a wall pogo, not unlike Jump 12. If you want to try the jump this way, you'll need to cross a bigger gap and do a strafe into the gap since the pogo doesn't face it straight on. For most people, this method is harder, and even if it isn't, don't use this method as an excuse to never learn ramp pogo. Now for the last jump. Jump 15 has several ways of completing it. What they all have in common is a requirement both for consistency and for understanding how to do speed pogo with some control. If you've made it to this jump, you have all the tools you need to complete it. Keep working on the jump and refer to the other parts of this video if there's a part of your pogo that needs work. Good luck with easy pogo! If there's anything else I should cover, let me know. Thanks for watching and have a great day.